Welcome to the Corona Shift, the podcast that asks performers how they're getting by when the bars are all closed and the shows are all canceled. I'm your host today, Alice Rose, and joining me for this interview is Luba Magnus, who's an incredibly talented, multi-talented illustrator comedian from Toronto. We also have a special co-host for the night. It's going to be Marty Younge, who's a great friend of mine. Marty has recently done a great write-up and an expose on, not an expose, but just a write-up about. So, sometimes when I'm doing this, words come out. I don't even know. She did this great write-up on Luba, so we decided to invite her on to co-host this show. It was her idea. Let's welcome to the show, Marty Younge.
Hey. Hi.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming to co-host. You're going to be the very first co-host of the show. So we're making history here. So Marty, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am I'm an arts and culture writer, and I really, really love comedy. I started writing about comedy. I had this awful night shift job, and it was like no place for an introvert or extrovert like me. I only had one night a week off. And so it was just, my days were becoming my nights. And, so I really was like, I need to get some joy back in my life. So Sunday, I opened up Now magazine. I was like, what can I do that, I'll really enjoy myself? And I found Sunday Night Live. I started going to Sunday Night Live.
Oh my God, yeah.
So good. I really, really enjoyed it because it was just, that was the first time I went to comedy bar, and that was the first time I was around that atmosphere that we all, we just love it there. And so I started going to Sunday Night Live. And then that was when I met John Blair, who would become, he was the head writer of the Sketchersons. So I was going to see the Sketchersons do Sunday Night Live every Sunday. And so we became friends, like we gradually got to talking. And then one night they had these comp tickets that they would give. And after I've been going for like a couple months on and off, eventually there was one night where everybody was drinking at comedy bar, and this person was like, "You're cool, all right, like you're cool." And they came out, and it was Andy Ald, and he was a cast member at the time, and he gave me this huge stack of comp tickets. So these business card comp tickets, and he gave them to me, and he said, "Just come back as much as you want." And so I thought that was really nice. And then I started originally just posting about comedy as a way to like say thank you for these comp tickets. And then John Blair entered the picture, and he said to me, he was like, "Your posts on Instagram are really good, but you should make it its own thing. Like it should be its own account." And so that's when I started the Young Modern, and it just kind of grew from there. And then that grew into writing articles for CBC Comedy and for the Interrobang in the States. And I really like, more than being a critic, I just think my job is to commemorate the art that I'm stoked on.
Yeah, that's what I love about you. You said it, rather than being a critic, you're doing critiques of comedy, but they're always so supportive, and you write about what you love more than what you hate. To a degree, of course, but and I love your influential voice, and you're such an inspiration for me, and always a great help. So
I'm always inspired by like bloggers like Jeffree Star and fashion bloggers and food bloggers who they don't have time to talk about. It's all in what I don't say. If I see an awful show, like I remember there was a show, one of the first shows I ever met you at, how we like got talking was, there was an awful show and you were the only good set on it. And I was like, who is this woman who is amazing and so funny and really tried to bring this show around? So if there's a bad show, like that's what I'm paying attention to. I have no time for when somebody's like, oh, I really bombed. Are you gonna write about that? Except if it's a new female comic, because that's like linked into a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm like, if you bombed and you bombed in front of me, don't think I'm gonna pay attention to your bad set. Like I'm paying attention to put in the work.
Yeah. Well, because you love comedy so much. I think I remember that show. I think I know which one it is. I distinctly remember everyone else really, really bombing. And I remember seeing you and you were just walking through the venue and I was like, who is this crazy mystical like super fashionable person just like taking charge of the, I don't know, you had such a presence. So I was like, I need to get to know this woman.
And our chemistry is pretty legendary. Like Alice, I think that a lot of the same people don't like us and don't understand us, and then even the people that do like us and understand us, they really like us.
Who doesn't like you both? Who are these people?
They tend to be the same people. They tend to be the same people. Yeah.
Okay. We don't need it.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Jazz, is it condemned after COVID? Do we know?
That's what?
Is what?
Is it Jimmy Jazz? Is it condemned after COVID?
Jimmy Jazz. Oh my God.
Those nights, that Jimmy Jazz, I love it. All right. Well, we're gonna get the show started. Let's welcome our just steering away from that train wreck. We're gonna introduce our guest of the night. Welcome, the creator of Drawn Up Comedy and the super funny, unique. I'm just in love with this person, Luba Magnus. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay.
It's funny. I met you at Jimmy Jazz.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah.
You and Lucy Gervais were together.
Yeah, and it was like a train wreck of a show, and you went on, and we were like, "Thank God."
Right. Yes, that's true. Another legendary night where I met two incredible comics. Yeah. Yeah, you changed a lot of my perspectives that night. I was like, comedy doesn't have to be this dark pit. Comedy doesn't have to, like, I just, you showed me that things can be not douchey and still super really funny, and it can be like wholesome and endearing and also still really funny. In a time where I was surrounded by like small town comics who were like, it was rough. So yay. That being said, I'm doing really well today. Let's talk about you a little bit. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about Drawn Up.
Okay. Drawn Up is a show that I started a couple of years ago now, because I can only run it a couple times a year because it takes so much work. I always wanted to combine my animation skills with my stand-up skills. I don't like it when I do stand-up and people are like, oh, but you're an animator. Why don't you do that? And I'm like, well, no, I'm very much a stand-up comedian, but I think they can both help each other in a way. So I'm like, what's the best way to do that? And I'm like, well, why don't I do a show that's literally hosted by cartoons, so I can be on my own show while also running the show. And it's a good way to, for myself, a good way to showcase my writing skills, animation skills, all that stuff in one place, but also a great way to network and help other comedians. I mean, not that I've been much help yet, but by getting them to do voiceover and stuff like that, it's another way to use our comedic talents and like get our art out there. I just found it to be the perfect hybrid to get the best of myself out there and to accentuate the best of other people.
Yeah, and the one episode that I saw was you had in the intros, in the hosting sets, you had like Brendan D'Souza and Karis Anderson, and all of these like great comics as well. Oh, I know. And that was so cool as a comic to hear other comics' voices in the animations. It was a nerdy little like, I know this person.
Yeah, and at the live show, there's actually like a credit roll at the end, and people get excited for that. They're like, "Who was that voice?" And so then you get to see the cartoon with the name, and they're like, "Oh, cool!"
So cool. Yeah, Drawn Up is so cool. Sorry, Marty, I think I cut you off. You were saying something.
Oh, I am on the same page. Drawn Up is lovely. I was so taken with this show. I heard about it, and then I think there was 2 of them that I couldn't make it to, and then I was like, I have to see this show. And the night that I went, that subsequently like inspired the profile, was it was just so lovely. It was just like and it influences all the I write in the article, like it influences all of the people on the lineup, and also there was some comics I hadn't seen before. So I'm really it was just like going to this cool new thing that that not a lot of people knew about, and was just so like it when you see it, it's art. It's like so, and your sense of humor lends itself so well to your animations, because they're yours. You made them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the show because it's like you understand the medium of stand-up comedy and how to integrate your other talents in that. And you do that with illustration, you do that with your quirky sense of humor, and you do that with like your color palettes and everything. You just bring so much to the stage, and it's always very calculated. So to even just as a stand-up comedian, you're pushing those envelopes of what is stand-up comedy and what can be included in that. And then the animations where you're doing multimedia set or shows, and you're incorporating all of these cool things, and then you figure it out like everybody puts in like headliner, this person who's been doing it for 6 months, and these attractions, and you try to get comedians' names, and like the headliner is the animation. The animation is something that is so cool and such a draw that the comedians that you put on there, you have sort of free range to choose and curate your comics, because people are going to show up for that and be exposed to all of these other comics.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I love that you've sort of figured all of that out. Absolutely love it, and I'm so jealous because it's not a it's
my friend Luba.
Oh,
the
so
caterpillar knew. Hi, Luba. What's up? I'm a big fan. I'm a caterpillar. I crawled all the way down Brand Ave to say that I love you. Love Drawn Up. Big fan. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, bye.
I like that he turned right to the camera too. He's like, huh? You know his angles.
I love it. Yes. So another thing that I love about Drawn Up is that because it started out as a very multimedia thing, it has become sort of adaptable in this time where we don't have venues and we don't have live stages. You already have something to fall back on that's integrated into your format. So how have you been wow, sorry, my ADHD medication is drawing off. It's wearing off. Like, how have you? Wait a minute, eight sequential thoughts in a row. That's fun. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been working on since we haven't had venues?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day because we had a chat pretty much at the beginning of COVID, and I'm like, I'm gonna put stuff out all the time, and and I'm so excited that I have this format. The first month, my creative mind was shot. It was totally shot. So it was a real challenge to get the ball rolling. But then once it did, I made a new cartoon, and I actually started making live videos that integrate animation. So a kind of new format for Drawn Up, but that the videos lend to the, I guess, the vibe, very much the vibe and theme of everything. So it's been a fun way to like even expand creatively on what Drawn Up is. But it's been a good challenge to get stuff out. And I guess my challenge is just, I don't know as much how to get it to everyone. I'm like, I'll put it to my socials and we'll see what happens. And hopefully someday it just like goes like that. But in the meantime, I'm just trying as much as I can to make new content. And my goal is to have a new one for tomorrow. So
all right.
Yay.
What's the new cartoon about?
So it's another live one where each episode I make something. So this time I make, each episode I make something, but ultimately I talk to something in my apartment.
Hi, I'm Luba, and today we're going to make something very special, something that's never been made before, because today we're going to make Believe! Huh? Pretty cool, right? Okay.
Hi there. Hello. How are you? Not bad. Wanna grab a drink sometime? Oh, sure. That sounds good to tea. Oh.
Oh my god.
Wait, is that really how she thinks we sound?
I know. It's not great.
It's the same voice for both of us.
Green tea. Chai tea. Chai tea latte.
This is rough.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna find a way to get us out of here.
Okay, great.
Hey, so, wanna grab that drink we were talking about?
Yes, please. That sounds great.
Cool. Let's just make our way toward the door there. Over there.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for having us over.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay then. Well,
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah, you animate something in your apartment. Oh gosh, it's so, and that's the thing, is it's sweet without being too hyper.
Yeah.
No, I know that sounds strange coming from me, but I have an intense energy, but I don't have a hyper energy. You know what I mean? Like, it in comedy, a lot of energy without control. It's kind of like in dance. If you're very flexible, but you don't have that control, it becomes kind of just pageantry without substance. And I love how your comedy doesn't. I mean, maybe it's because I've seen that it's a very high energy kind of style is really popular in improv and stuff like that, and I see a lot of it where people don't necessarily know how to. They think that if it's louder equals funnier or zanier equals funnier, and that's what I've always really liked about your cartoons, is that they just because they're cartoons doesn't mean they have to be. They're loud color, not necessarily loud volume.
That's how I feel about a lot of what I do, both in my stand-up as well, and just as a person. I don't need to be the loudest person in the room to say a lot, is my opinion. And a lot of people, that's how they work, and that's great. But I like to, not sit back. But I very much, I don't need to be loud to know who I am, I guess. And so I let that speak through my mediums. I try to anyways. Yeah, does that make sense? I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It does. You don't have to be over the top. You can be nuanced, and your statement, your work speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Marty, any other questions? Sorry, you cut out a little bit. I think. Oh.
Okay. I just said Sophie won the Juno. I just saw online.
Oh my God!
Sophie.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so
Very
great.
deserving.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she deserves it.
Yeah. After being runner-up how many years in a row for top comic? Like, give her the Juno.
Yeah. No kidding. She was runner-up. She was runner-up 2016. She didn't make the finals in 2017. I think it was 3 times.
Wow.
I think she got
wow.
second. She got second in 2018, and then she got second again this year in 2019.
Yeah.
She was top comic, Sirius XM's top comic 2018 too. She was a contestant, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is she got gotten second? She gotten second 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, it's about time. Hard work does pay off.
Yeah.
I heard something.
I should know this. I wrote an article about it. I'm just a little bit. I know that it was at least 2 times. She's climbed the mountain of the online votes 3 times, and she's gotten second twice. That's it. I can't remember whether she got second in 2016. But she was in the finals. I think actually she was. I think it was 3 times she got second. But I'm no matter. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased for her. She's such a nice person, and she's a hard worker, and she's very, very funny. Her
and
jokes
super
are
talented. Yeah.
Her jokes have a complexity. Look, the guy is the caterpillar. Her jokes have a feminist complexity that I'm really excited to see how that progresses, and it's already so good. You know, she's another person that it was instant. Like, real recognizes real. I met her. I met Sophie at the first time I went to Just for Laughs. There was a party hosted by Jeff Ross, which I know Jeff Ross, whatever, but it was this amazing party. And as you can tell, I have like a little bit of rabbit teeth. My teeth stick out. It's how my mouth is formed. So as a result, I always get lipstick on my teeth. And it's become a very good judge of character for those around me who tell me when I have lipstick on my teeth. And she did it in such a nice, funny way. And she was like, "Hey, girl, you have lipstick on your teeth." And I was like, "Hey, you're Sophie from Vancouver." And we've just been friends ever since.
I have the same gauge, but that's very close friends will tell me when my tucks come out, and that I need to fix that. God, I hate that. Yeah, so Sophie Buttle is who we're talking about. We never said her full name. Check out her comedy album and winner of a Juno.
That's obsessed with Sophie Buttle.
Yes. So check that out. That's great and good for her, because she is a very hardworking comedian, and like to be runner up for so long. I heard recently something like, it stuck with me. Behind every overnight success is a decade of thankless hard work, or something like that. And that she reminds me of that. It's she didn't come out of nowhere. She's been working super hard. So congrats on that.
Writers' rooms, and she's everywhere. She's so good.
Yeah.
I only just met her, I guess it was last year when I did the Sirius XM competition in Vancouver, and I did my asparagus joke, and she went up after me. I have a joke about how asparagus, when it comes out of the ground, it looks like asparagus. That's the joke. And then she went on stage, and she had this story about how she tried to garden asparagus, and when it grew out of the ground, she thought that her dad was pranking her, because they come out normal. She thought that her dad was just like coming around planting asparagus. Like, but that's what it looks like.
It does. I love that joke. I really
does everybody
very nice and that's very deserved. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
About that, like, who does everybody miss? Like, obviously, everybody misses everybody in our comedy scene. But if you had to put together a lineup of comics you could see tonight, who would be on it? And not your friends, like people whose comedy you are moved by, like that you miss hearing.
Oh my God.
Like in Toronto or globally? Like Toronto?
Yeah, let's keep it Toronto.
Okay. Oh.
That's gonna be a thinker.
Rebecca Reeds. Chris Robinson. Garrett Jameson.
Oh.
I
miss Garrett Jameson.
Oh my God. I gotta pick 5 people. There's so many good. Oh, Jackie Perico.
Oh my God, yes.
One more. There's so many. You know what? Let's go. Oh gosh, the 5th slot. Let's take Chris Locke. Yeah.
Chris Locke. Chris Locke. Did you ever see Learning Nature with Chris Locke, Luba?
Yes. It's so good.
Isn't it good? Like, what is adults, like, seriously, Adult Swim? If, I wish I knew, now. Like, I hope, I was so stoked on Just for Laughs this year because, last year I met somebody in development at Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited this year to like see him again and be like, hey, come to Canada, please. Because there's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of like, if somebody from Adult Swim is watching this, you need to come to Canada for a week and just watch shows, because the whole spectrum of stuff they're trying to do at Adult Swim right now, everything from their kind of like grittier live action stuff to cartoons, like we have so much talent like Luba, and then like the Learning Nature with Chris Locke should be on Adult Swim.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, okay, my 5 who I picked, I gotta say I miss Natalie Norman. I miss Natalie Norman a lot.
She was on my list.
Yeah, I just miss Natalie unpacking the week on Sunday nights. I miss Kyle Brownrigg. I think that Kyle Brownrigg has he has he has one of the best sense of timing in the scene, and I just miss that.
Mm-hmm. It's very strong.
Yeah, I can be in the like in a mood to watch comedy, but not a mood to laugh, and his timing will just hit it so well. Tamara Siobhan. I miss Tamara Siobhan so much. She's been killing it with Quarantine. Quarantine. I said that 3 times the same way.
You got it.
But I miss Tamara Siobhan, just how like real she is. You said Jackie, so obviously my homegirl North End loved Jackie. But I feel like I gotta put one of my Hamilton boys on there.
Ooh.
I gotta put one of my Hamilton boys. I can't choose which one right now.
I mean, Jason Allen is so strong.
Jason Allen, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's say Jason Allen for sure. Yeah, he's so funny and so kind, and he just like, oh, I know, stupid Mostyn. I miss John Mostyn.
Oh my God, yes.
He's
John Mostyn is
right now.
Yeah, him and his pie situation.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I'm like very devoutly gluten-free, and I said, can you make a gluten-free pie? And he was like, no, and I wouldn't make a pie for you anyway. Like, me and him just roast each other all the time. Like it's just a constant. Like there was a time where I actually had to check in with him, like where I was like, hey, I just need to have a little moment of consent. Like we're cool. This is still like, I'm joking when I say these things. And he was like, I disrespect you. I have even less respect for you now that you've checked in about this. I miss John Mostyn a lot.
Yeah, John's such a sweet guy too. I just his face and his accent, and yeah, really love that guy. Sorry?
I sent him a picture of the scene where Michael Caine and Sandra Bullock are walking in Miss Congeniality, and I was like, us when Comedy Bar's back open. And he was like, I wonder if they have that dress in my color.
I love it. Okay, mine. You said Kyle Brownrigg.
Yeah.
Who's like no longer in Toronto, so I think I can safely say Kate Barron. I love Kate Barron, and she's moved away, so I'd love to have her back.
She's so great.
Baron.
Yeah.
Every year is the year of the Baron. I coined that one night when she got really far in the comedy brawl thing, and there was some. Yeah, it was just, it's always, because she just, anything she wants to do, she takes on and conquers, and it's Year of the Baron, always.
Yeah. No, Baron's, she's amazing. Natalie Norman, you said, but I love Natalie and Jess. I love Crimson Wave. I just love what they do. I really miss that show particularly, and especially just seeing Natalie. Hodo Hersey?
Yeah.
I miss her so much. Just such a star power. I don't know. She just has great star power and great timing. Mike Carosa. I miss Mike Carosa's hugs and just his enthusiasm about everything. Someone I haven't seen in forever, Chris Sandiford.
He's so great.
I miss him to death.
Have you seen him on What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
He has a cameo on What We Do in the Shadows, and he plays a vampire hunter.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What We Do in the Shadows has a lot of Toronto comic cameos, but he has one of the larger ones, and he is in a vampire hunter club, and he's just adorable.
Aww. Amazing. I remember seeing him in, was it a Tim Hortons commercial? And it blew my mind. It was because I was sitting in Comedy Bar with Chris Sandiford, like in the room, and then his commercial came on the TV out in front of the cab space, and I was like, this is life. This is so weird.
Was it the gas commercial?
No, it was food. It was Tim Hortons or KFC or...
Was it McDonald's? I don't know. I do know the one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There was one recently. But yeah.
Also, Sorry?
I was just saying, can we all also just agree that we'd all pay $1 million to watch Brandon Ash Muhammad right now? Like, yes.
Oh my God, yes. The top of his game as well. Just released an album.
Titled Black Sketch Project.
Sorry?
Like every the collective that won Toronto Sketch Fest grant money is called the Untitled Black Sketch Collective, and it's Alan Shane Lewis and Brandon Ash Mohammed and Coco and Daphne and a bunch of other performers, and I'm really stoked to see what happens there.
Oh wow.
Wow,
that's a powerhouse.
Adonis Charlie is in it.
Oh, I love him so much.
Yeah.
So much. I got to have him on my show for the Chosen Family Variety Hour, and he just blew it away. And then I got to see No, I got to host his Sketchfest Thoughts and Prayers this year before everything went down, and it was such a solid show. Sorry, Luba, this episode isn't about you at all.
That's okay. I'm still ruminating over everyone that I didn't mention. I'm like, oh my God, if I could see Adam Christie right now, and like, oh God, so many.
This is going to be the yearbook episode.
Yeah.
I can see my buddy John Blair.
Yes.
I got to see him. I brought him his camera back in May, and it was nice to see him, but it was so sad to that was when I was like, oh, things are not as they were before. That day I saw Comedy Bar all shuttered,
yeah,
through the window, and I had to see my friend and not touch him, and it was sad,
Yeah.
but I mean things are starting to look up, and I think that one thing that's been really touching is how it's solidified that our comedy scene is not our venues. It exists in this Dr. Seuss-like thing. Comedy is just a little bit more. Here's my great part. Growing. What's your favorite cartoons, Luba?
My favorite cartoon TV show of all time is Clone High.
Oh my God! Yes, I love Clone High to death. I still have the DVD box set of Clone High somewhere. Clone High and Undergrads. I don't see it on my.
Clone High. Tell what was it about Clone High that?
It just was so absurd. It took relatable things in that they were all historical characters and brought them into high school, which is even more relatable. But then it was just this absurdist kind of humor to it. It was the best. It was just the best. That's the best way that I can describe it. And it's done by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who also did later on the Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street. What else? Oh God, they do all like the favorite quirky weird things. Think of a quirky weird thing and they've done it. Yeah. So Clone High.
And is it the type of thing where it had such an impact on you that there's a little bit of Clone High in everything you do?
I would say, yeah. Oh, and they also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And that style to me is also very representative of what I want to be, like not the 3D-ness of it, but it's just so, it's quaint, it's funny, it's strange. There's meatballs falling from the sky. I know it's based on a story, but they just did it so well. I don't know. It's, yeah, what they represent is what I want to be.
Yeah, there's a weird impressionistic element to that I see in your work too, where you have animated talking muffins on your on your counter, and you're interacting with.
Tomorrow. Oh God.
I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. But there's a surrealism in it where they're very familiar things that are out of place or that are out of sequence, and that's where the quirkiness and the craziness comes, and that's where a lot of the humor comes.
Yeah.
Just like, what is this thing doing here?
Yeah. I did one where I made a llama and then had an existential crisis. Like, yeah, these are the things that I like.
That was why I love the Wave. The Wave is my favorite character. Meg McKay would get a drop-in spot on my show, on my Fictional 5 show, because Meg McKay is another person that I've always just our chemistry was like instant, and I miss her a lot.
She's the best.
but I love the Wave was just such a weird character. It's about this Wave, the cartoon of, well, why don't you tell us what it's about?
Sure. So it's a wave, but it's a rogue wave, which, and I'm very into nautical things, so I'm like, okay, I love just the mythical. There's a wave that comes out of nowhere and it can destroy everything. But it's really just kind of out there doing its own thing. So I'm like, well, if that were a character, especially if it were like this little girl who's like making it on her own, that'd be really cute. So it leaves the sea and takes to land. It goes completely rogue, and it's cute as hell.
And I didn't see that one. Was it voiced by Meg?
Mm-hmm.
Meg was it? I love it. I love it.
Best, yeah. And she does. I actually, if you go to my Instagram page after this, there's a little behind the scenes where I did an interview with Meg where we talk about how she found the voice for the character and stuff. And I love finding that out because I love just giving these characters to comedians and be like, do what you want, because when I'm thinking of it, I'm hearing their voice, but I'm just like, well, you go crazy. And yes, it's like, I'm a wave gone rogue. Yeah, and apparently. And I don't think it made it into the video, but ultimately I think she based that voice off of something Mark Little did out in Halifax, because they were both out east for a while. Yeah.
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 Oh, wow.
These characters that you, yeah.
We're going to link to your Instagram for the show, for this episode for sure. So we're going to put links. I'll put links to that video.
I'm watching a lot of Mr. D.
Thankfully.
That I've been watching. Speaking of Mark Little, that's one of my shows I've been watching while I'm in quarantine. It's just like just because it's on and I can watch it with my mom. My mom is a retired school teacher, and so she. It's so funny. Sometimes she thinks it's funny, and sometimes you can tell that she's like, no, and she'll get indignant and she'll be like, listen. If you have to work with somebody like that, you know it's not all fun and games and that they mess everything up. And I'm like, but this is a fictional show. But it's just funny to see. Sometimes she's not down with every joke on Mr. D. And but Mark Little's so cute on that show.
Yeah.
Is he done with your cartoons?
No, but he headlined the first show. Yeah, I've always been tempted to ask him to do a voice, but I'm like, he's got a lot on his plate.
He made a cartoon, right? Gary and the Demons.
Everyone at home watch Gary and his Demons. It is the best. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh, you would love it.
I haven't
It's
seen
like
it.
Clone High. Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and also helped produced by a friend of mine as well over at Solus Animation. They do really good work. Yeah.
A demon hunter struggles to stay interested in the earth-saving duty he never asked for and does not want. Gary is the chosen one and is burdened by this duty as he hunts demons. Sold. Oh my god.
It's on CBC Gem. Watch it at home.
Oh, yay! Yeah, Mark Little. Amazing. How did I not know about this?
You'll love it. So I promise you'll love it. Yeah.
It's
the vibe is so charming that I have a friend and her name is Ariel, and she had the unfortunate luck of being born a year before The Little Mermaid came out. So as you can imagine, she has very little patience for anything to do with The Little Mermaid and Ariel and like being called Ariel. Like she just, it's kind of a no-go for her. And I remember it was at a comedy bar and I introduced her to Mark Little and he goes, "Really? Your name is Ariel?" And I was like, "Oh, please. Oh, this is going to not be good." And he's like, "If you were my sister, every morning I would come in and enact the whole first scene of The Little Mermaid and be like, 'It's our sister, Ariel!'" And he goes right up to the thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like this guy's in for it. And she laughed. I was like, and that's where I was like, this guy like butter. Like he is undeniably good at improv.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's no secret. I don't love improv. I there's undeniable merits of its like it's a necessary ingredient in sketch comedy, which I love. I love improv as an exercise, as maybe a community building endeavor. I think that people can get really bonded in the study of improv, but the performance of improv, like it's a very small, it's like Mark Little and maybe Ann Pornell and Tom Hearn, if he has some people who came to play with Tom Hearn and not come to play over top of Tom Hearn. It's a very small group of, and Mark Little is, I'd watch Mark Little do improv.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Laura Silovitz and Mark Little together. Of all the incarnations of Mark Little, I love him the best with Laura Silovitz.
Mm-hmm. I agree with improv. I'm not the biggest fan of improv. And it's very much it's more of an exercise than a performance. And I think improv is, for improv to be done well, it has to be done really, really well. For like good improv, it's a tip of the iceberg scenario where you have to be incredible for it to be great entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I always just think that anytime I see improv, I'm always like, okay, now go and take a week and write this into a sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Come back.
Yeah.
God, I miss seeing sketch comedy so much, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I miss the sound of laughter. I miss the sound of laughter. It's wild. Yeah. Like, to have June and July, that's like, to have a June and July that's not all about, because Top Comic normally starts in June, and I'm covering that. Mm-hmm. And that one is, like, Top Comic is an interesting thing because it creates such a weird friction in our scene. It's necessary. I mean, $25,000 is $25,000, mm-hmm. but in the prelims, when everybody's matched up, it's a very weird energy, and it goes on for a month, and so it was kind of disorienting, and while that's going on, it's like then that month ends, and then you have about 25 days till Just for Laughs, mm-hmm. where you have to be on the top of your game. Mm-hmm. And so that was probably one of my worst days in lockdown, is the day that, because I was holding out hope. I'm like, no, it'll be sorted by July. And when they agreed that they were going to push it back, it was like, I didn't even know how subconsciously I'm always preparing for that, always looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of decided that, like, I was like, this is going to be one of the rare June and July where I don't have to be like preparing for Just for Laughs and preparing to cover it, because it's strenuous to cover it, and it's strenuous to cover it correctly, you know, because you go and see shows all night, and then I basically get up the next morning, and by the time I'm seeing the shows, my whole write-up has to be done.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to just enjoy this month and use it as a litmus test to see how I can prepare better next year, and maybe a bit work in more of a friendlier way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is strange because with me, June and July, especially this year, like March was showcase season, and I was producing a showcase that was canceled like at the 11th hour. And I was getting into like March and April was where I prepare for June, because it's Pride Month, and Pride is really huge. Like that's my busiest month. And then July with JFL and all of these things. And just the summer season, like my Waterloo and Hamilton shows do a lot better. So I do like special Pride editions and the anniversary edition and things like that. So it was weird to be sitting like you said, you're taking Marty, you're taking 6 weeks off.
Yeah.
Of comedy.
I'm
I'm
kind of got to a place
taking-
where I needed to do it.
Yeah, but you can take this time off during this time for other things. And I'm taking a week off vacation next week. And I've been spending like sitting through June and like writing pitches and pilots, and where I'm not performing and producing. It's really weird. It's really weird. It doesn't match the season. So I get it very much.
It's wild that I feel so bad for all queer performers during the loss of capital alone in the month of June. I really wish that it's just so bad, because there's some drag performers, that's a huge part of their income from the year is what they make in June in drag shows.
Yeah. Last year, June was 50% of my income.
Yeah. And they really, I feel like in some ways they haven't done enough to open live performance again. And I think that comedy especially, I think that the Park show has not done us any favors.
No.
I think that the ambiguity around some of the way that he treated money that was supposed to be raised for a fundraiser. I think that when you see that at a municipal level, people will remember that. They will remember how this person who claims to be a representation of our scene is acting right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Park show is doing us any favors. I think that the Park show could have been a nice idea if it didn't get kind of co-opted into what it is now. And I don't begrudge anybody for performing on it, because I probably would do the same thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of I had to grapple with whether or not to go, but when I heard about some of the gray area and possibility of fraudulent behavior with the money that he raised, I was like, I can't take a chance supporting that, even though I support my friends performing on it.
And then also from a producer standpoint as well, to manage the event so terribly and not do the due diligence where you are informing the city that you're doing this, and that you're preparing and actually producing this venue as you would, and then when you get in trouble, to turn it into a protest show. And
you know what?
Especially in a time where there are very valid global protests for a civil rights issue, it struck a white guys matter string to me, and I didn't like it at all. So for all of that PR and all of that terrible publicity, I think it paints the Toronto comedy scene in a certain light, for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree. I definitely think, unfortunately, we know more about that bad side than other people. People are like, oh, did they shut down a show in the park? Oh, we gotta help. But then we know the backside story, that it's fraudulent and not done well. And this guy was like chiming off on comments against the cause, or you know what I mean? Not against the cause. I didn't read everything, but there was that one thread about the Yuck Yuck show and whatever. Yeah, so we know that, but unfortunately, if you're outside of the scene, you're, I don't know. It's hard. These
The
things are
general
hard.
public
to
sees it differently.
You know
Yeah.
what? We should talk about something else because I really do think that Ben Beckus has no ability to distinguish between good and bad attention. So even the fact that we're giving him attention right now, we should move on.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to get political. We're recording, so we don't want to say anything that
We can edit this
implicate
out.
us, but yeah.
Do you want to do something else if you want to edit that out? Do you want us to do a lead-in for something else?
No, we'll be okay. I can trim and stuff. It'll be okay.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about what to edit out later.
Honestly, I think that guy doesn't. He just missed out on a few hugs, and he has no. He's that kid in class who does not decipher good and bad attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, he'll just and he just wants good and yeah. It's
like my dog. My dog will do things for negative attention.
Yeah.
Because he's bored. My dog doesn't distinguish between good dog and bad dog. It's just you're paying attention to me. It's just dog. Yeah.
What's the funniest? What's been a moment of humor for you in quarantine? Like, what's been something when we don't have stand up to laugh at that's made you laugh?
I'll say two things. One in the community and one not. I love watching Joe Pera. I think that's exactly the kind of comedy that quarantine needs. It's very calm. It's very wholesome. And he literally came out, there's like a 15-minute video of just him talking with like B-roll behind him. And it's literally a meditation video, but with comedy. It's so good. It's so good. But the first Zoom show that I did, Chris Locke headlined, and it was really fun, but until like he got on air, I guess, and he was doing crowd work over Zoom, and watching someone so easily adjust to this new format and be so himself still, it gave me so much hope, and it was so funny, and it was just like it was so good to feel familiar, even though I was in like a really dire situation. Yeah. It was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In the community, I would say, and this is a guilty pleasure, I know it's hot take, but TikTok.
No.
And in that same light, seeing comedians who take to that format, like a duck to water, is that the saying? A duck to, yeah, like toast to butter. I don't know. But to see people just directly translate, I mean, Cliff Knight is doing a great job with that. If you see his TikTok, it's little sketches and it's character sketches and it's bits performed. Sorry?
Nemo is already huge on TikTok and he's
yeah.
I'm just gonna turn the light on. You guys can keep talking. It's okay.
Sure. But yeah, seeing these people just jump to TikTok and be like, this is how you do this medium. And they're not just directly translating their stand-up, but they're embracing the new medium and the new technology. I think I love that. I also love all the stupid shit that you see on TikTok. I think
oh my gosh,
that's a great thing about being in quarantine is I can make jokes that are completely dumb. Or like, so I can go off on this tangent that's so low-hanging fruit or that's so easy, but it makes me laugh and it makes my girlfriend laugh and it makes my friends laugh, and that's my high now. Like I don't have to be at the top of my game to make people laugh. I can just be silly with other people who have terrible senses of humor and make kale puns all afternoon, and there's nothing better than that right now, is just being able to engage with friends in a really stupid way where I'm turning my comedy brain off and I'm just saying dumb shit.
Just making those organic laughs.
Yeah,
there's a lot of I gotta say, Nima and Mark Anthony, they were already like doing TikToks before quarantine, and I have to say he's just gotten more funny since quarantine, and he really just makes the most of. As a creator, he's so inspiring because he uses everything that's available to him. His jokes are always his own; they're always rooted in his own reality. And then just like so relatable. And even if when he does ethnic humor, it's like it's not so racial. It's from the perspective of like a new Canadian. You know what I mean? As somebody who's like a first generation Canadian who's contemporary, and it's like his neighborhood. And that's what I really like. Buffet Buds was really funny too. Mark Anthony and JJ Lieberman released a show about smoking weed and going to buffets, and it was just it's nice to watch at a time where you can't go out to eat with your friends. Like going to a buffet is like totally can't happen.
It's also really nice to see JJ Lieberman in something where he's tolerable as well, and he's actually funny.
A controlled energy. Cray J. Lieberman, when you see he's it's a very, because Mark Anthony's so placid, they balance each other's energy out.
Yeah, it has that Jay and Silent Bob dynamic, or the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote dynamic.
And and this is just a personal thing, I don't love stuff that centers around food all that much. But that one, he messaged me and he was like, hey, can you review my show? Because I that's something in his comedy that kind of I have to acknowledge that even though I don't find it funny, it really works well. And it's a part of his humor, because weight is a part of his humor. And so when I watched that show, I was like, okay, I'll probably get a few episodes into it, and then the excess of all that eating will probably get to me. Like I've made jokes to him about that. And then it was a really funny show, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I'm trying to think of like stuff. Revisiting outside of our comedy scene, I've been really, since I wrote that article on you, Luba, I've been revisiting cartoons a lot.
Oh yeah.
So one thing I've been doing is I've been watching. I was never allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up, so I've been rewatching The Simpsons in French.
Oh, in French.
Yeah.
I've been rewatching it in English on Disney Plus because it's available.
Let's talk about The Simpsons for a minute.
I'll be honest, these lights are really broken and will be flickering a lot because we're out of light.
I can't see it. It's not flickering too bad. It's all right.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm like, every now and then they go like,
yeah. We are.
They go like, what's the sound they make?
That's just the sound that I make to make them go, but they really do go like in and out.
But do it again. What is it? How does it go? You're the cutest human alive. That's why I wrote 800 words about what a genius you are.
Yes.
It's not put on or contrived.
We also do have to wrap up shortly enough. So
this whole video is gonna look like I don't have a shirt on. I have a shirt on. This is my pride shirt. The last time I wore it was to the day the Raptors won the championship. Do you want to know what I was doing? I went to go see Tom Hearn's show at Second City.
Oh.
And it was like all of the queer people who like didn't like basketball enough or care even enough to be invited to a party. So it was
which is all like, but 3 queer people. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was all these people that loved Tom Hearn, and we were at his show. And when the din went off, we were all like, oh my God, we need to get out of here. This is going to be like, what is waiting for us beyond these doors?
Yeah. Oh, that was absolute chaos too. Are we talking Simpsons? Did we
Yeah,
want to finish off with the Simpsons? What do we want to talk about? Because in my experience, like looking back, I watched a lot of The Simpsons when I was younger, and it informed so much of my comedy. Like just the writing is so incredible. And then in this like hyper liberal post Me Too era, going back and revisiting The Simpsons and asking yourself, like, was that really racially or culturally insensitive, or are they really addressing that in a fun way? That's what I'm watching The Simpsons about right now. Is like, we can't rewrite history and rewrite the past, and this is such a great time capsule for social and cultural understandings of that time. And the show's been on for 30 plus years now, so they've always been so progressively forward with that, so that it's a great cross section of our culture of like what was funny and what styles of comedy were funny, and very much like they adapted in a very David Bowie-esque way to different comedy styles of their times, where it started out with like shock humor about an abusive dad and a kid who swears a lot, and then becoming this weird socially conscious kind of social feedback show, and then it became a little political, and then it got a bit pop culture, and then I don't know what it is, what you can explain it now, but it had these phases that moved with comedy of the times, and I love watching it for that.
That is true. Yeah, it definitely went in shifts. Like it goes from a hard family tone to a hard political tone. And obviously each character brings different elements of that stronger. So those elements are always there. But as far as the writing, it definitely like all the jokes, I would say maybe 5 to 10 years ago, every kind of underhanded joke had like a political undertone, it felt like. Whereas before it's just like when in the Conan years, it was just like really weird.
Yeah. And I guess that comes with writing teams cycling in and out. But yeah. Marty, what did you want to talk about with The Simpsons? What?
I was never allowed to watch it, but it's interesting how it's such a cultural force that even though I was never allowed to watch it, I have my favorite episodes. I have memories attached to The Simpsons. And so that was why I'm watching it in French now, just because it's so ridiculous to watch in French. I understand some of it, but also it's but my favorite episode of The Simpsons, I have nothing as deep to say about it, but it's just such a language of comedy. Like it influences people's comedy in such a huge way. I watch Conan now, and I'm a big fan of Conan. I have a lot of respect for Conan because he looks the most like Trump, but doesn't do Trump. You know,
True.
And he tries to go the extra mile and make sure that his show is not endorsing the bigotry of the leader of that country, but is a place of kind of escape from it, you know. And so I've always liked that that zany language of Conan. And then by the time Futurama came around, I loved that it looked like The Simpsons. And so I'm a big Futurama fan. And it's such a layered show. Such a layered show. My favorite episode of The Simpsons, obviously, all the Halloween ones.
Yes, Treehouse of Horror.
Sideshow Bob is kind of like my weird cartoon crush.
Oh, 1,000%. Yes.
There's something sexy about Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what that says about me. But, and And then I really like the episode where they think Mr. Burns is an alien.
Yes, the X-Files episode.
Yeah.
Mhm. I love that episode. That stands out in my memory as like a big episode when it came out. Absolutely. Absolutely. What would my favorite episode be? I think the one where Bart is prescribed a medication for his behavioral disorder, sort of like a Ritalin, and then he discovers a conspiracy where Major League Baseball is keeping data with satellites, and then Mark McGrath comes and does a cameo at the end. I think that episode was the greatest. Yeah. That would have been my favorite episode. Luba, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, it's called Cape Fear, and it's a Sideshow Bob heavy episode. And it's the classic one where he steps on the rakes.
Yes!
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
What does that say about us, Luba? That we both like Sideshow Bob heavy episodes.
Because he's Frasier. He and he like sings opera, and he's like
quote Shakespeare, and he yeah.
But he's such a vulnerable villain. He's for as smart as he is, he's so dumb. Yeah. I like.
Yeah, he was very much a critique of intellectualism, I find, and intellectual elitism, which I really enjoy, because he's outsmarted by an 8-year-old boy. Yeah. That's our favorite Simpsons episodes. I think that's a great place to finish up. Yeah. What do we all think? Are we feeling good?
I feel good. Please, everybody, check out the article. It's on this great new site called Parton and Pearl, which was started by Damian Nelson at Sketchfest. And she wanted to kind of create a site that she hadn't seen yet. And so it is all about Canadian comedy and Canadian country music. And it was inspired by the title comes from a picture of Dolly Parton and Minnie Pearl together. So it's called Parton and Pearl, and the piece is called Labor of Luba.
Labor of Luba. I love it. Check it out. The website is amazing. That article is so brilliant. I love both of you and what you do. So that marriage of the two of you is great. Luba, do you have anything coming up that you wanted to pitch, or?
Just my socials, because I'm gonna keep throwing some stuff out there. So
yes. Drawn up. So new video comes out tomorrow, the 30th of June. So it'll be out by the time this comes out. So
sweet.
I'll post links to all of those, but definitely check out Luba's YouTube channel, all the drawn up videos, and all of her socials. Doing great stuff. As for me, I have a bunch of stuff. Hopefully we were talking about shows kind of opening up, and fingers crossed that Comic Sans is back in Waterloo in August. But also July 22nd, we're doing our second virtual show on Twitch. So that's going to feature, I'm really excited about it because it's going to feature a lot of strong female POC voices, Black and people of color comedians, some of my favorite comics, and it'll be a fundraiser going to 2 charities that support Black trans women. So one is a Black trans women's protesters bail fund, and another one is a fund for homeless Black trans women. So hoping that is a big success and we get to raise some money for that until we can be back on our stages, and until then we'll continue.
It's gonna be, what all of us need to remember is that throughout history, when art has had to stop, and when everybody just keep your skills sharp, because there will be such a burst of creativity, and people will want to laugh, and people will want to have fun and be together, And just however you can, however it feels good, everybody needs to just keep their skills sharp, even if that means maybe, like doing something else for a minute. But we will, I'm so touched at how our scene, as I said before, our scene is not our venues. Our scene exists amongst all of us, and how we've kept it together. And that's why this podcast is so cool, for you to commemorate and see that. And in terms of what I have coming up is always just hashtag young modern laughs. Young, YOUNGE, a questionable career decision of my, I wanted to, it was easier to get don't, just a decision I've had to live with. So young, YOUNGE, modern laughs, hashtag, that hashtag's on everything. So yeah, thank you so much for having us, and I miss you, but I'll see you all real soon.
Yes. Yes, we'll see each other hopefully sooner than later. Thank you both for being on the show. This was a wonderful conversation, and it felt like hanging out with good friends. So that was great. I hope for the best for all of you, and keep in touch.